and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee,
of the office of trustee.
that I will not knowingly receive,
I will not knowingly receive,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
any money or other valuable thing
any money or valuable thing
to procure my nomination,
to procure my nomination,
election, or appointment,
election, or appointment,
except necessary and proper expense,
except necessary and proper expense,
expressly authorized by law.
expressly authorized by law.
That I have not knowingly violated
I have not knowingly violated
any election law of the state,
any election law of the state,
or procured it to be done
or procured it to be done
by others in my behalf.
by others on my behalf.
I further swear
I further swear
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
to faithfully discharge my duties
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Make sure, Alyssa, they get a signed one and then.
Okay, item 4 is consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning the Glencoe Board of Trustees declaring the mayor of Johnson seat vacant under Oklahoma statutes 11-8-1. Okay, so you wanna ask your questions on that?
What is this about? I mean, what is this pertaining to?
This is about me missing those meetings.
So how far are we going back? Just the last 4 months, or what are we doing here?
Alyssa, do you recall the ones that you verified?
Back to the beginning of this fiscal year, first meeting's August 12th, and then it coordinates with the law once you get to October 14th.
So it was,
So we're going way back from,
yes, that's what was brought to, that's what was brought to the town's attention, that John had missed more than half of all the meetings, held within any 4 consecutive months.
And that was back in October.
And I think, I don't know if it starts in August or October,
they
but
got
there were
started July 8th.
special meetings ended up creating more than just the normal 1 meeting a month. I think is what I looked at, but you may have.
Well, there was only one special meeting. The one on October 18th was just public works, so that's not, it's not computed in the calculation.
But it's on here. We've got 2 special meetings, one August 26th and one October 18th. So
Yeah, it
they're
was
both
still
on
a,
here.
it was still a special meeting, but it was a public work, so
Did
it's
you
not
say
calculated.
you
into
say
the-
I see what you're saying the 14th was that
Yeah.
one? No.
So there was only the one special meeting on August 26th.
Okay, so well, I guess my question is, how come we didn't rest this in October?
Yeah, why are we just waiting until now?
Why did we wait till now?
It was just brought to the attention.
Yeah.
Huh?
It was just brought to the attention.
No.
Yeah, no one was, to my knowledge, no one was aware of it until now.
No, I wasn't aware of it.
So since the last meeting, it's been brought to my attention.
Yes.
I asked Alyssa to confirm it with what her records show, which would be, it's her job as town clerk to keep those records. And I think what you were presented there is what her records show.
Yeah, that's, and I did go back and verify it, and it's what it is.
So starting from the beginning of any month, not a partial month, but starting at the beginning of a month through a 4-month period.
Yes.
If there was more than half missed, then, but the vacancy doesn't occur until it's actually brought to the attention of the council, and the council would take action. That's when the council is the one with the authority to declare the vacancy.
But they have to declare vacant, right?
Well, if by law, there was more than half the meetings missed during that 4-month period, then it would certainly be advisable too, because by law, otherwise it would go contrary to the statute. And then any action taken in the future, now that the town's aware of it going forward, could be questioned, the validity of that action because of if it relied upon your vote or not.
Okay. Am I allowed to vote?
You are allowed to vote, you're entitled to more notice and due process, you're entitled to a hearing if you want a hearing.
Don't need it. I don't think we need it. So I'm just not surprised it came down to this late in the year. before it got noticed. Okay, so you guys need to make a vote, a motion, I won't make that motion, but somebody can make that motion, Sean, if you'd like to do that.
I will make the motion to declare the seat of trustee, John Kuhn vacant under state statute 11-8-108.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made that we declare the Board of Trustees seat vacant under Oklahoma State Statute 11-8-108. All in favor, Sean?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Okay, all right, and John will say yes.
Abstain, or yes, okay.
All right, now, takes us to over number 5.
So that will move to the vice mayor now, correct?
Well-
Since his seat is
well,
technically
Sean, it
vacant.
doesn't make a difference.
We're actually,
Doesn't make a big difference.
we're actually at the point where all the new terms started as of noon today.
Today, yeah.
So on a normal month's meeting, we would have it on here, like you can see 7 and 8, electing a mayor and electing a vice mayor. So whether that had occurred or not, the board would have been tasked with electing a mayor and vice mayor today anyhow.
Absolutely. So my question is for the next line item, Susan is still our current vice mayor until we get down to that next line item.
Yes, I
So
understand your question.
Susan will take this line item and John
Sure,
will have a vote.
yes, sure.
So we're going with, line item 5, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning appointment for the open board of trustees seat. I'm gonna make a motion that we, appoint John to the vacant seat.
Do I hear a second? Anybody got a second?
So that one's gonna die for lack of second, correct?
That's correct.
So I will make a motion that we leave that seat vacant, for at least the next month. Bring it back to the table because we have 60 days to reappoint that seat, correct? Or
You do have
call for a
60 days
special
before you
election.
have to call and pay for a special election.
So my motion is to leave it open and bring it back next month for appointment.
You have to have a second, go for it, I can't speak. can I?
No.
Second.
So motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, Shawna?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan, no.
Okay, I'll see you guys around.
Okay, so does 7 and 8 go away, or what? I mean,
No, you still need to do 7 and 8, because like I said, new terms started today at noon.
so number 6 is administrator oath of office to newly appointed board trustee.
Oh, 6 goes away, 7 and 8, yeah, you're on the 7.
Number 7 is consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning electing the mayor. Do you have any motions?
Can we put that on for the 30 days? Does that have to happen right now?
You don't have a mayor for that period of time.
Yeah, we'll have to appoint.
We have to appoint somebody right now?
Well, you may run into a lot of things where you end up with a special meeting before your next meeting, or you need a mayor to take action.
Okay. Well, skip.
You're directed by law to elect a mayor at the first meeting, regular meeting after the new terms take effect.
All right, so I'll make a motion that, we appoint Terry Lasnick as our mayor.
Second that.
Okay, motion and second has been made to appoint Terry Leisnick as mayor. All in favor, Shawna?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan, no?
I get to vote.
Did you get the vote? My bad, Terry. My bad.
I don't believe I want to be married this morning.
So that's 2 and 2.
That's 2-2, so that fails.
Okay.
I'll, make a motion to appoint Sean as mayor.
I second it.
Motion has been made to make Shawna mayor and seconded. All in favor, Shawna?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan, no? So now does she take
So,
over?
yeah.
Okay, so who's doing that?
Skip.
Okay.
Number 8, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning electing vice mayor. I'm gonna make a motion that we elect Terry as vice mayor.
I second it.
All in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan?
No.
All right, brings
Are
us,
you gonna vote?
oh, yes, sorry. Brings us to item 9, consent agenda, approval of the meeting minutes for the regular meeting held March 10th, 2025, approval of the general fund purchase orders, approval of the cemetery fund purchase orders, approval of the police fund purchase orders, approval of the meter fund purchase orders, approving renewal of the tower contract with Pro Value Net, and approval of the annual vaccination day beginning being June 7th, 2025. I would like to pull the Pro Value off and discuss it separately.
So, is that a motion
Yes.
to approve all of
I
them
will-
except that item?
I will make a motion to approve all of those except for the Pro Value tower agreement.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
I just wonder why we want to pull it.
I just want, we'll talk about the detail of it the next.
All right. Yes.
Susan?
Yeah, I mean, where is this at?
It's in the agenda.
It's in there.
I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about here, where's she pulling it from?
Pulling it from the consent agenda. Should be in the packet.
Yes.
And Shawna votes yes. Brings us to item 10, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning items removed from the consent agenda. On the tower lease agreement with Pro Value Net, I know, like in particular, the county has a tower agreement for Pro Value as well, and they provide us with internet, which I know that they provide here in the park. But they also provide us with a telephone service at our office.
Is it,
It's the VoIP phone service, and looking at the purchase orders, it looks like we pay like $250 a month for
and
phone.
what's crazy is, Shelby has had to fight consistently for the last like 28 years to even get it down to that price, so I'm all for checking.
I mean, and I'm happy to reach out to Matt and Drew with Pro Value to see what we can get worked out. We, like I said, we use them at the county for our phone service and have zero issue whatsoever. We have to pay the taxes, the E911 taxes and the state and federal stuff that goes along with that, but I think our bill is $50 a month.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm
So.
all for it.
And they provide the phones and everything.
Yeah, I'm definitely all for that.
Okay, so I will make a motion to table the Pro Value tower lease agreement, that I will make some calls to see what kind of phone service they can provide with lesser amount.
I'll second the motion.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. And Sean votes yes. Public appearances, petitions, demonstrations, communications, or personal appearances. Do we have anything? consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning awarding bid for the REAP grant number 33 for the project located on the 300 block of Main Street.
Okay, and all of these are printed off after, but, he advertised for bids for the 300 block of Main Street and only got one, which was Kearns. And the grant was $65,000, the bid came in at $56,808, but he's not sure that the unit price is correct. So we gotta table that, he needs to get with Kearns and see if that's the correct amount, and then we'll move forward from there, so we just need to table it.
Okay. I will make a motion to table line item 12, awarding the REAP grant.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to table, line item 12 for the REAP grant. All in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Shawna votes yes. Number 13, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning the open records request made by Glencoe Board Trustee Shawna Bell to the Glencoe Fire Department on March 31st. I just checking the status to see where we were on getting the items requested.
That was requested.
No, if you look at my actual request, you'll find it in here. I did not get a recording of the meeting, nor did I get the supporting documents that were presented in
Okay, well, I mean, so I need to be clarified on this. Am I supposed to go by what your office at Payne County tells me that I'm supposed to go off from? If anybody has an open records request from your office, has to be on an official letterhead.
the meeting. We have a,
This email is not an official letterhead. So I went through on this right here. We don't have agendas, you know that. The roll call was on there. You did get the meetings, and the recording, how long am I supposed to keep that? Is there a law how long I'm supposed to keep that? If the minutes are done, I delete them. And if you look down here,
I'm still not of the opinion that that was a fire department meeting. So
No.
I don't, my opinion is the town can certainly direct whoever has whatever the records are requested to produce those records. But just like if it were the Youth Baseball Association, if you direct the auxiliary organization, they're a separate entity. So you couldn't, you know, as an example, you couldn't direct the Youth Baseball Association to produce records. If it was an auxiliary meeting, you can't require the auxiliary to produce those records. Now, since Thursday, I was provided with a copy of the bylaws. I'm not the attorney for the fire department auxiliary. They may want to consider seeking counsel so they can be advised on this. From what I can tell, if those are the correct bylaws, then whatever this meeting was, didn't actually have any voting members of the auxiliary there because, at least according to the bylaws that you provided me, the fire department members are not voting members of the auxiliary. As I understand it, there was one auxiliary member there.
the only
But
auxiliary member.
only the, well, and see, that's it. So I would say, if you were asking me what the status was, my answer would be, well, I want to see a membership list. I don't know what the status of the auxiliary is, but to me, this looks like an auxiliary meeting. It follows the bylaws of the auxiliary in the sense that it was at the fire department and it only covered auxiliary business. Now, regardless of my opinion, the town can, you have it on the agenda, you can take action to direct those documents to be produced. If they are public record, they need to be produced. If they are the auxiliary records, then I don't know that they have to listen to the town's direction because they're a separate entity. But you can certainly direct that. But that was just my opinion. As far as what I saw, the meeting only covered auxiliary business and therefore had been an auxiliary meeting, and the auxiliary is a separate entity from the town. And so anyhow, that hasn't changed. I don't know what the status of the membership is. I don't know if those are the bylaws. If those are the bylaws, it would look to me, again, just my 2 cents, that the auxiliary has an issue because whatever action they took at that meeting was invalid because none of those people have voting rights under those bylaws. But again, I don't know if those bylaws are legitimate, because I'm not the attorney for the auxiliary.
And then again, it's not fair, since you did bring up the bylaws, it is not fair. I mean, if the town is gonna sit there and vote on this, where is the bylaws? That is a question that
Well,
the
here-
fire
here,
department
all
and the
you-
auxiliary.
But here, let me clarify, all that's being voted on is, whatever possible action the town would wanna take in regards to the mayor's open records request.
Okay, so if we wanna be technical about that, down here on this official, statement here that says that what Shauna has requested and everything, I requested that we don't have agendas, she knows that, so that was not on there. Roll call was, the minutes was, the recording, if you look down here on copies provided, it says minutes and recording. So, if I was a vindictive little witch, I could sit and tell you, well, what happened to the recording?
Again, if it's
That
a
right
fire
there.
department, if it was a fire department meeting,
The
it would be.
envelope was closed, I just assumed that you put what was
It's-
requested in it,
Well,
and open it for.
That assumption is getting you.
Well, and again, the auxiliary can produce anything voluntarily that it chooses. It can produce anything it wants voluntarily. It's an issue of whether the town has authority to direct the records from this meeting to be produced. And I have not seen anything to satisfy me that it was a fire department meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, so my argument back on that is on the handwritten minutes that I was provided, it had a list of the fire department members present, and at the bottom it had a list of the fire department members who were absent. The group me was not sent to the auxiliary, because there are other auxiliary members. Cassie Bush is a very active auxiliary member. She had no idea about this at meeting. So,
Well, technically, you should bring a copy. The handwritten notes, if you look at the top, it says fire auxiliary meeting.
yeah, but the members of the fire department,
Doesn't matter, like he done said, like
Well,
he's already done told you
I would
that,
just
so.
clarify, the fire department members are also auxiliary organization members, but they are not voting members under those bylaws that were provided.
that's double dipping then. I mean,
No, if you read the bylaws, read the
How do we have
bylaws.
authority over the fire department, but we don't, but they're members of the auxiliary?
Yeah, well,
Like, that's,
just like you would have authority over the fire department member if they were handling fire department business, but if they go to the Youth Baseball Association and have a Youth Baseball Association meeting and one of your fire department members takes notes during that meeting, you can't force him to produce those notes, him or her, right? They do wear two hats. They are fire department members, as mentioned in the bylaws of the fire auxiliary, but it's a separate entity. So the crux of the question to me would be whether you have any authority to direct the auxiliary meeting to produce the records. If it was a fire department meeting, and that was my first understanding, is, well, somewhere the fire department had a meeting. And so it's like, okay, well, it's subject to open records requests. But then I come to find out, it doesn't appear like it was a fire department meeting, it appears like it was a fire auxiliary meeting. They only covered fire auxiliary business. Now, they could have been completely incorrect about who their membership was or who had voting authority. So in other words, the validity of whatever action they took at that meeting may be completely invalid under the auxiliary department, right? But nevertheless, it's still an auxiliary function, it's an auxiliary meeting. But here again, the town can take whatever direction it wants. If you can vote on it and direct those records to be produced, it's just an issue of whether whoever has that in their capacity as an auxiliary member has to produce it, because it wouldn't be a public record.
if that would, what would be the difference in us having a special meeting to approve a park board, or a park rental and call it a park board meeting? I mean, it's no difference. I mean, Friends of the Park is saying we're gonna do this, and there's no difference. I mean,
The auxiliary is a separate entity.
I
Now, they share members. They are the same individuals, some of them. They're the same individuals, but these fire department members don't have voting rights, again, assuming those are the bylaws. But it's still, they're members under the bylaws. They're fire department members. I don't know if there's only one auxiliary member. We talked about a membership list. You mentioned that there's other auxiliary members. I don't represent the auxiliary, but I don't know the process of the auxiliary goes. Like, how do you know that's not an auxiliary meeting? Is what it covered only auxiliary business. So that's my advice. But again, you can take whatever action action you see fit, right? You can decide, well, the board, here's whatever I'm babbling about, and decides regardless, we are directing the fire department to produce whatever occurred at that meeting. Now, the fire department might say, we didn't have a meeting, and the auxiliary might say, you don't have any authority to produce it, but that's another issue.
I think it's shady to provide half the information and not all of it.
Can I ask what's half of it? You want the meeting minutes, I gave you the handwritten ones, and I gave you the literally from auto to text, word for word. I don't have the recording. I was gone the weekend that it was transferred over to text. When I got the minutes done that Sunday and Monday, I deleted it.
But what about, I think it said that there were 2 people recording. I think it said that you would.
Then ask them. I'm not gonna go sit
Yeah,
there
I'm saying
and say, I'm
that
doing it.
But
I'm not doing it.
just be careful, there might be 3 people recording this meeting.
For
this
sure.
meeting. You don't have the authority to go to that gentleman 2 days from now and tell him to
Amen.
produce his records, is all I'm trying to make sure we do it correctly.
But when the chief and the vice mayor at the time were both stated in the meeting minutes as recording,
Okay.
that's where I'm getting at.
So
But, I mean,
And
if
no,
you
we
know
did
what
not
it is-
say that that both of us were recording. We said that we are recording this meeting. That is what we were instructed to do. So yes, my phone was right there. Everybody's seen it.
That's, we'll just let that one be done, but I do wanna point out that, at the end of the day, as a reminder in that aspect, I don't have to submit an open records request, just like you would, like, if you needed something from Alyssa, you don't have to come up here and submit an open records request. As a trustee, you have the authority to review whatever it is at any given time. We don't have to submit open records requests as elected officials over the community.
To the extent that the information, I mean, that would
As
apply
long as it
in
is-
all the cases.
Yes,
I don't.
as long as it is town.
Were you directed that you had to produce, or had to provide an open records request?
I was told that it would be wise to submit an open record request, because I had requested it from, at the time, the assistant chief, and it wasn't provided.
Okay, I was curious about the process.
So we'll just let 13. Okay, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning Alyssa Harrison resigning as receiving officer from the Glencoe volunteer.
I'll make a motion, we go ahead and let Alyssa.
Oh, it doesn't need a motion, I'm just making
Okay.
it black and white.
Good, that's
You'll
good.
need to fill out the forms and get them over to Glencoe.
Provided we will do that.
Yeah, well, you need to make sure that we get a new requisition and receiving since Jeff is gone. Consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning appointing a current member of the Glencoe Fire Department as the town of Glencoe's representative for the Payne County Enhanced 911 or E911 Communication.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, but last meeting or the meeting before, Chance actually took that position because Jeff had wanted to step down. And every town has to have a representative. We have to have a representative on the board, so that's just something that the fire department maybe needs to keep in mind.
Yeah, I'll get the bill.
We'll need to know who that is so that we can
Yep.
send the
Yep.
paperwork.
I'll get the bill.
Okay, so we'll just bring this back, table it for next,
Okay.
should I need to make a motion to table it for next?
You can, or you could obviously request it, put on the agenda.
All right, 16, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning renewing the county's municipal court CD with Great Plains Bank or with a bank offering the best interest rate.
I'll make a motion, we renew it.
Is Great Plains our best?
Yeah, they came back today and they beat everybody else's by far. It's like 4.4 for 7 months and 4.3 something for 9 months, but it's still just knocks everybody else out of the park. So,
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded that we renew the town's municipal court CD with Great Plains Bank. All in favor, Terry?
Yeah.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. Shawna votes yes. Consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning the Glencoe Boyd Davidson Arena's inventory.
I brought this up because it's, we need to make sure we're getting a lot of stuff. We have got to make sure that we have their inventory in, for our audit and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and this is also on their board meeting for
stuff they bought has been broken, but,
So you feel like so far they're doing a good job of getting you inventory perfect?
yeah.
So we will do no action on 17. 18, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning the $144.17 overage for the Glencoe Arena's previous purchase approval of supplies not to exceed $8,950.
Whenever they were giving us the cost estimates for this last month, I don't think they had accounted for shipping and handling, so they just went over by that $144.17, we just need to, I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that they went over that and approved it. We did already go ahead and pay it, the shipping and handling was included on one of those invoices, but it did come out over the $89.50.
And that still keeps them under their
They're still
budget.
okay, yeah.
All right, I will make a motion to approve the $144.17 overage for the Glencoe Arena Board's previous purchase approval.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Sean votes yes. 19, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning the easement violation located at 317 West Main Street listed under Chapter 20, Section 5 of the Glencoe Town Code.
Okay, this is Terry Beal's property on Main Street. Wanna come up?
What are we gonna do?
It's up to you. So I cleaned off the property line, whereas you can see that the green block is his property. And then there's a sidewalk easement in the front, and we've had several complaints because of the U-Haul trailers that are parked either on the sidewalk easement or directly in front of the U-Haul building, and it's obstructing traffic. So,
So when you look at this thing, this is actually what's recorded. It sits in the easement, but the sidewalk is right there west of it. You guys being the dominant property holder, and me being the servant, I can still use it. As long as you guys need to use it for utilities or whatever, we can move the equipment out. There's never been a sidewalk even since I bought it off Skip. I mean, that's been there since it was a gas station.
I think the issue is, even though there's no sidewalk that's paved right there, we should still have the easement, and people are unable to walk that sidewalk all the way down. So, that's just ultimately what the complaint
The
was.
whole
And
thing.
it's a dangerous intersection right there,
Yeah.
so when you
But
have,
part
when you
of it
have
is-
those out there,
This is a lot and block. So is that green line depicting the edge of the lot?
Yes.
Because if that's the case, this is all platted street, so what you would own would end right here. You own this lot, and this is all street. It's not an easement, it's actually dedicated right away. See,
That's
this,
what,
this lot,
you see, it starts from 40 foot to the center, and this is what's it.
yeah, but that's not indicating ownership of this. Unless that, either one of these is wrong then, because this, in terms of what's being shown, and maybe this is
what-
center line
this
of
is
the
what-
roadway.
I bought it off of Skip, this was done by a surveyor.
Yeah,
It's
so
done with the county.
I bet if you get the original, town plat, it'll show an 80-foot road there,
I
is
think,
that,
was it 80?
it's not all paved.
That's
but
what
it's-
Shelley said,
80
said no,
foot.
it's never happened, ever since, I mean, since it was a gas station, so like all this, that's why they put gravel and all that, they never showed sidewalk there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I think, like, your ownership of ends at that,
And you're exactly correct.
yeah.
So this goes to the end right here. See, it goes from there to there.
Well, right, see, so here's road, so you own this must be lot 13.
That's the plat, this here.
Yeah.
So this is the edge of the street right here, where you just put that X.
Yeah, it's 80 foot, yeah, it's 80 foot, so what you purchased from Skip would have been lot 13, is it more than lot 13?
I'm a serving owner, so I can utilize it, and you guys can utilize
I'm with you on your servient, I'm with you on that. If this were like a town easement across back here, if there was like an easement across your property. What I'm actually saying is you don't own this property, you own
No.
this lot line to here.
That's
This
correct.
this is
What
dedicated.
they're arguing is this right here on the sidewalk, this little bit right here, that's what they're arguing.
Not on this side? So it's,
No.
so it's not this, it's not these things look like they're out in the street.
So
They,
here, let's
they
see.
pretty much are.
I mean,
but
these are out in the
decided
street
not
right
to
now.
That's on the
keep
grass
it
right
that.
here.
I know, but this is
Yeah.
8 foot
Yeah.
of.
So right here,
this
this
is-
is.
It's essentially on
this is
both
the part
sides.
that sits-
Okay, so that's part of the street too, up to here is part of the street.
If that's part of the street, then the city needs to start maintaining it, paving it and
Well,
everything
we
else. They
can't
gotta
if there are
maintain it.
U-Haul trailers sitting
Well,
on top of it.
That's fine, if the city can start maintaining it, I'll take one.
Well, that may be a different discussion, but
If
it's.
you guys wanna pay for the maintaining of the
That is a
easement,
different discussion.
It-
We're
it-
just talking about the U-Haul.
As far as this
sitting
goes,
on
that's
top
where
of
it's
it.
gonna go, though.
Sure, as this goes, though,
When you guys repave Main Street, I'm gonna pave it all the way up.
Sounds great.
well, I mean, this town still has the discretion to determine whether they want a period, a space here that runs between, but, I mean, you could have that discussion, pave it all the way up, sure. But yeah, that's all I'm trying to say is to clarify, it's not like you owned it here, and then at some point a previous owner.
This right here shows the ownership, that's where the pins are.
Okay, okay, and so aren't we agreeing that those corners right there are these corners
Now,
right
we're
here?
agreeing that that corner there, and that corner right there, that's it.
Obvious,
I mean,
okay.
that would be like the bar owning out past the sidewalk.
What I-
That's,
And so we may have a
So it's
disagreement.
gravel, it's gravel right here, okay?
Because it's gravel?
So it sits like this. It sits just like that. So that goes right here, where the pavement stops. All this here, the gravel, the concrete parking, all that is where those U-Hauls sit. Same thing here.
The only issue is,
Park a little wider once in a while, kind of like that picture.
Yeah, and this one here, Shane winds up
Semi
taking.
out there with a 40-foot load on it.
And that, I parked that, but that actually was right there off the pavement.
No, it was in the road, cause I drove.
It's been in the road.
Well, then the whole thing is as long as we stay off the pavement, then we're good. Because that's what we own.
But there's not much there to stay on.
Yeah, there is. That's what the original
You
on.
put one of them 40-foot trucks in there?
Oh, yeah.
So did you buy the car wash too? Or
No.
No. What's that? Okay.
It-
Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you, because I don't have a problem with these right
yeah,
here.
yeah.
But when you turn around and start parking these big old things right here, and I'm, hang
No,
on,
go ahead, I'm listening.
and when I'm walking my grandchildren, and we almost got hit, so you mean to tell me, so are you gonna be liable for that? Do you see what I'm
That's
saying?
what
If
we're
you're
saying.
parked out there,
The whole
if you're,
thing,
dude, don't even go with the insurance of my grandkids, don't. We just need to move on.
Okay, well, all I would say is if there's a disagreement, because this shows 40 foot, and that would be consistent with the 80-foot streets.
and I'm good with that, as long as the city keeps up the easement all the way up. I want it all paved.
Oh, okay, so, but
And you can
again,
clean it too, Shane.
If
I'll
you start
clean it.
maintaining that down there, I'll come and help you.
You do it. But I'll tell you another thing. is
All I wanted to be-
I don't want the snow piled on my property either,
Okay.
like what Shane put.
all I wanted to be clear about from this discussion this evening is that I think there's some misunderstanding about how far your property actually goes, and so
Hey, that's why I had a professional surveyor.
Well,
That's
town could, if it's a big issue, town could decide whether they want to have it surveyed, but what I would say is consistent with Steve Spear's survey here is 40 foot, and that's consistent with the town plat.
Right.
The 40 foot goes all the way, I think, we can call Steve, we can call Steve and ask. I think he'll say
The
these.
city can wind up, like Alyssa said, is go ahead and, when you guys pave it, pave it.
Yeah, and that's good. That's where I was trying to
Same
get
thing
to
is
that
with that.
discussion. That's a different discussion than what we started. What we started was, city has an easement across my property.
And I want it
But
maintained.
it doesn't. It's
The
actually
easement is
adjacent to
maintained.
your property. Okay, all right.
So with that, we just need to make sure that they're not parking how they do,
That's all
really
that we worry
both sides.
about,
I
yeah.
mean,
So,
Totally.
question, clarification,
And again,
as
I-
long as it's off the front of
Hold on,
the gas
let's
pumps,
let
we're
our,
good,
let's let our
right?
attorney speak, hold on just a second.
I would just clarify, you might want to use something like right of way, maybe that would help distinguish it, but a lot of times when people think of easement, they think of an easement that I gave to ONG that went back, across my back 10 feet of my alley that I actually own. this is actually platted. Now, he could bring an action, he could come and ask the town to close that portion of the platted road, and could go and foreclose that right through district court if the town wanted to, you know,
Correct.
get rid of that and let you handle it. But as of now, just to be clear, when we talk about it, it's in Main Street, yeah. So anything out there is in Main Street, or for lack of a better word, it's off.
So for
Off your
clarification
property.
is, as long as it stays off the front part for right now, because if it goes further, it will go to district court.
As long as what stays off?
As long as we stay off the front part on Main Street. She agreed that she was okay with right there at east and west of the buildings, but not.
Well, as long as you don't block the road.
Well, yeah, I
They
just
block
didn't
the
want
road.
to
That's what I
obstruct
said.
traffic. People had to
But
go
with that
out
being
so
said
far.
is, I want that easement paved when that road's paved.
Okay,
So what action do we need to take on that, if any?
Well, you might wanna reset it just to see that, you know, if the request was complied with and the stuff's out of there, then there's not gonna be any further action needed. This is the way this is worded, just concerning the easement violation, it's not like nobody was cited for being out in the street. I think the town has conveyed to the owner what the issue is, and if the spot is no longer a problem, then there's not anything else to mess with it.
So can we come to the agreement of not putting everything
Yeah,
out
I'm good
front
with
where
that in the front.
it's not a safe hazard?
Clarification for records is that on your minutes there, it's not 317, it's 320.
Okay,
thanks,
You're welcome.
appreciate that.
okay, so this one will just
Yeah,
die then, and we can revisit it if it becomes a further issue.
yes.
Okay. All right, moving on to item 20, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning accepting the fire department's LifeNet grant in the amount of $2,975.
LifeNet was here last month, she spoke under new business with Chance, he had gotten that grant. And she said they needed an official line item to accept it, so that I could send her the minutes and do that.
I will make a motion to accept the grant from LifeNet for the fire department in the amount of $2,975.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Shawna votes yes. 21, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning approving and implementing a drone policy for the town of Glencoe. This was something that I brought in regards to the drone that the fire department was purchasing. I think a drone is a huge asset that can be used in a lot of different ways. Unfortunately, being governmental, we have to have certain licensing through the Federal Aviation Administration.
Yeah, and if it's over 55 pounds, we have to report it to the aviation, so.
Do you
know
know?
how much?
pounds.
It's what?
It's like 5 pounds.
Oh, it's tiny
It's like
little thing?
this.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So have you guys looked into the drone unmanned pilot license that has to, I would assume that that's something that we're probably going to have to make sure that we are insured and protected on a town level in flying the drone. I would like to see some type of policy just for protection in place. Yes, sir.
I have my Part 109 license, and if you have somebody that needs the study guides because they were like $1,000, I'm happy to give them to you and not spend $1,000 on the study guide. The test sucks. I failed it twice. I mean, it's not a joke. You have to know everything, including real pilot coming in on where they have control towers and all that. It's not just to blow through a test, it's serious. But
Well, the hard part about us is we technically have multiple airports in our area
Yeah.
that we have to really follow their guidelines. So I would like to see some type of drone policy put in place. I'm good if you guys wanna draft something up, present it. and we can go from there. Have y'all picked up your drone yet?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay. So is it possible to have a drone policy in place for the next meeting?
I'll do my best.
Okay.
Well, could I still like kind of template one
Yeah.
from him based off the website that you shot me?
Yeah, I mean, we can collab together to get one. The county has a pretty, standard, but yet in-depth policy that's on the Payne County website, if you even wanted to pull it off of there and do some figuring to see.
That's
what
what
we
Jeff
can-
and I talked about.
Yeah. All right, so we will just, I'll let that one die as well. And put it back on the agenda for next month to revisit. All right, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning appointing a Founder's Day committee for the 2025 Founder's Day event. How did your Founder's Day committee meeting go?
Yeah, it went really well. I had a bunch of people show up, had a lot of teen daughters from the high school show up, they want to help, so,
It's great.
I don't remember all their names, there are a bunch. There's like Ella and Kinsey, Melissa's gonna be with me. I don't remember all their names, Bruce, the arena board's gonna help, so we have a committee,
So who do you guys have kind of set up yourself as a committee? Do you know who was on the committee last year? Was it me? Just you? So do you want to set a full committee? Would you prefer you be the committee?
you could make it like officially myself, Melissa, Ella, and Debbie Porter. And then I just recruit people as they offer help, I just take them with me, so.
You, Melissa Ruffin, Debbie Porter, and Ella.
Clark, yeah.
So I will make a motion that we appoint the Founder's Day Committee of Alyssa Harrison, Melissa Rathbun, Debbie Porter, and Ella Clark.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Shawna votes yes. Consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning enter into a contract with the Founder's Day Committee for the 2025 Founder's Day event.
Normally we do 3. This year, we were going to see if you guys would be willing to do like 3,500 or 4, because stuff is a little bit more expensive. That's what we did last year was 3, yeah, so 35 or 4, we'd be happy. I still intend on getting as many donations as I can. Last year, we got almost 1,800 in donations, so, yeah, it was very helpful.
Do you guys have any thoughts or opinions?
Well, at least 35, if we got the money, we can do 4.
Right.
Do you have a thought, Susan?
Yep.
I make a motion to give them 4,000. Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded to enter into a contract with the Founder's Day Committee for the 2025 Founder's Day event, giving them $4,000 to start out. All in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
And Shawna votes yes. 24, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning approving the completion of the dock for the Fred Clark Lake at Dwayne Davidson Park.
The arena board has offered, well, Bruce, his welding skills mostly, but he said he'd just bring all of them. They offered to help me get the dock put back together. They have the boat that they're gonna use for a floating dock and almost everything they need. So I don't know what the cost is gonna be yet, but I didn't even wanna look to what it was gonna cost until you guys were okay with me even doing that.
Yeah, we had agreed on this, it was voted from the town, back when I was on the board, and they just have failed yet to do it, so.
I wonder what the price difference would be now.
Oh,
I'd like to have it before Founder's Day fishing tournament down at the park. So,
So how do you guys feel about maybe letting them get some quotes and bringing it back?
Yeah.
okay.
That's fine.
I will make a motion that, we have Alyssa and the arena board get quotes to complete the dock at the Fred Clark Lake at the Boyd Davidson Park.
I'll second
Motion has been made and seconded, all in favor, Terry?
that.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. And Shawna votes yes. Consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning de-annexing a portion of the property listed under account number 6000004147 with the Payne County Assessor.
There's
Yeah,
another one.
that's me. I'm putting in some more trailers out there at my trailer park, and I would like to de-annex 130 foot to the west and 603 feet to the south off of Glencoe.
Off of Burkhart.
Yes, off of Burkhart, yeah.
What is the value in de-annexing versus leaving?
To me,
Yeah.
that way I wouldn't have to put the water meters for these 4 trailers up here at Burkhart and run lines all the way down to each trailer.
And it benefits him to get his loop in for his water loop,
Yeah.
to complete his water loop.
Yeah, and Shane and I've been discussing on how to make the loop, because right now everything out there is deadheaded. And if we may have to move the master meter, but maybe not, I don't know, but
Probably have to start doing some testing with DEQ, because you're outside the city limits. We do our testing inside city limits, you'll probably have to do some testing outside.
So to de-annex though, we have to do with a public hearing.
Well, you guys could actually, if you were annexing, you would have to, you can do a public hearing to be annexed, but you can just bring it up on the ordinance and take action to be annexed. You're not bringing it in. I think this is the confusion that came up last time, that there was a de-annexation. There was a comment about it in a public hearing, but really just needs an ordinance passed. Once you guys, if you decide you wanted to do that, you can do it of your own, on your own, you know, or there's another process where it can be done responding to a formal request from the owner, but, you know, you guys haven't in the past required that, but it probably just depends upon whether you agree with it or not.
Any thoughts?
So, you're de-annexing
why?
Yeah.
Well, according to the city regulations, to get water down to each one of these trailers, if it's inside the city limits, according to,
Have to have a meter set on it.
have to have a meter set at Burkhart and be a line run down to each trailer, 600 and some feet.
I got you.
And I'd like to not have to do that. I'd like to have the water meters, put on the west side of Newton Lane in front of each trailer, like I've got on the other trailers.
How will you get water to those trailers if you de-annex?
There's back when we built the trailer park, we put in a flush meter, or a flush hydrant, a homemade one that Mark suggested that we put in so we could flush the water, and that's where we would get water.
You'll have enough pressure for all those trailers?
Should, we haven't had any issues yet.
What, Shane, do you have an opinion?
I think that it's 130 foot by 600. I don't think it's a problem. I think that it actually, it's gonna help the water system out there for him to be able to bring his line back around.
Yeah.
We went out and walked it out the other day, and
What does it do for the town? Is that
well,
good or bad?
it Yeah, maybe anything we're to lose 130 foot by 600, that's worst thing.
Okay.
That's the worst thing. We'll gain a little more water, usage. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably, yeah.
I'd make a motion that we approve it. The annex section.
I will second it. So motion has been made and seconded to de-annex a portion of the property listed under account 6000417 130 foot wide, 603 feet long. All in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
yes.
Susan? No. Shawna votes yes.
Oh, well, Skip should abstain.
Oh, stay.
That's
I
too-
thought I'd try it anyhow. So it passed.
Tied.
I thought an abstain was technically
It's a
a
no.
yes.
Oh, it is, yeah, technically. So,
So what are we doing out of it?
Well, that motion didn't pass. I don't know that there's another motion that would change anything. You know, it can be brought back later.
Yeah, we'll just put it back on the next month's agenda.
Okay,
But when you ultimately do it, if it's approved to go forward, it will need to come back with an ordinance and the legal description, if you can get it to me, and, because we'll have to record it.
okay. So a motion fell on item number 25. 26, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning approving up to a 3% increase in water and sewer rates under the sustainability plan to take effect in fiscal year 26.
So I'm gonna ask you to table that because it has to do with public works. And we can, there's a line item on public works, we can go over it.
Okay.
in more depth, yeah.
Yeah. We may have to come back and do the ordinance on the town, but that will be next month anyway.
Okay.
So we don't really need to.
So we will no action on 26. 27, budget workshop session for fiscal year 26 general fund budget.
All right, so you should have your fiscal year seven year.
That's the color
the
one.
color one. Should be 2 sheets. So your top sheet is your revenue for the last 7 years. And general fund's done very well, you can see. Dollar General store really has helped us. We're kind of leveled at the income for the Dollar General store now because of that new law that went into effect that you don't pay taxes on certain foods. And so I think we're leveled about between 15 and 16,000 a month since that went into effect. Any questions on the revenue page?
RV park did amazing this year.
Yes. We're doing very well. Your second page is the expenditures for the last 7 years. Even though we've done very well in revenues, we do very well in spending it. We still made a profit though. Any questions? So the next 2 pages are your proposed, budget budget, that first column shows you the prior year, so that was last physical year income. Second column is your current year budget, that's what you approved last year for this physical year. Your third column is what we spent for the last 9 months, what we brought in for the last 9 months. And your fourth column is what I'm estimating, to come in, for next fiscal year. So you'll see under police fines, I have 0, because I don't know what's gonna happen. So far, we don't have an officer. The officer we do have, any tickets they're writing is going to the county. We're getting no money from that. So somebody needs to put some pressure on our sheriff to get us an officer. So when tickets are written in our town, that money comes to our town.
Yeah, because it works pretty good.
That they do.
Well, that's a good thing. But they go to the county instead of the town.
They did it more since Gary's been going since then, whenever he was here.
So if you anticipate some income, you can always put that in there. But I can tell you what we had brought in so far. That was only $1,200.32. And so I didn't feel like I should calculate anything because I don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
So if you all wanna change that, you can do that.
I would like some pressure.
In the Parks and Rec ball field income, as you can see, we budgeted $3,000, but at some point we decided to only charge them $1. So at this point, I budgeted $1 because I don't know what you all plan to do. But even if they're not going to use our ball fields except for practice, they should pay more than $1. That's my opinion. You can change that amount too, if you will come up with an amount that you agree to that we can put into the contract that they will have to pay. On the park arena rental, I have done 0 because we have not brought anything in this fiscal year in 9 months. And last year, they only brought in $50. So I have no idea how to budget for that.
Right.
So if you all want to change those, then we can change the, estimated revenue. Your second page is the expenditures. First column is last fiscal year expenditures. We made a profit, as you can see. And then our current year budget, our current year actual, that's what we've actually spent. You can see we've spent quite a bit. We still have 3 months to go. And we only have a little over 17,000 left in the budget. So I think what happens sometimes is the board approves things that we didn't actually budget for. Like your $4,000 for Founder's Day, you already budgeted for that. So you have to think ahead of time in the next year's budget, what are you gonna give to Founder's Day? What are you gonna give to the Easter egg? What are you gonna give to this? What are you gonna give to that? You need to budget for that so that we don't spend more than what we anticipate. And then your last column is your requested budget year. That's just what I'm anticipating to come in. The arena did give me a requested budget of $29,580. They didn't consider any budget for other services and charges, which is where the electric bill comes from. So I asked Lisa to figure out what we've already spent on electric, and that was $632. So I actually budgeted $800 in their other services and charges for their electric bill, and that could go over because at this point, it's kind of like a minimum. They're not really using it, but once they start using it, they're probably gonna use more electric. Let's see, any other questions? I haven't heard if the contract with the sheriff's department is going to increase more than the 40,000. I didn't budget more than 40,000. I haven't heard anything, so that's why that's 40,000. Any questions?
So on the arena right here,
Which one?
on the arena, so you said that they haven't brought in any money, but here their bill is almost.
It is true. They haven't brought any money. I don't know much about it. I don't know. But they do need to bring some money in once this gets done, and I think they claim with their budget that If they give this, you know, almost $30,000, that they'll be able to finish the arena and start having some events. Anybody here to verify that?
I mean, yeah, they do plan on it. They do plan on it.
I wonder if they asked me for it, like, what was their, like, what is their $21,000 worth of stuff they still need to buy?
Well,
Fencing materials and materials that, I'm not on the rodeo board anymore, but I do know kind of where they're at. They're needing more fencing materials, they're needing stuff for their announcer's box, they're needing stuff basically to finish it up, is what they're needing. And when you go to buying those kind of materials, you can wrap a lot of money up pretty
Oh,
quick.
for sure.
So, I mean, they've done an excellent job so far with what they've had. They've done a great job. They've got, you know, they got the shell of the arena there. They can hold ropings and stuff like that, and that's what they've been trying to do. Ultimately, their goal is to move forward to where they can have bigger and larger events, but they're not quite there yet. So, you know, you're looking at fencing materials, concession stands, bathrooms, and that sort of thing. And they're gonna eat up quite a bit of money producing those things. So, but in a nutshell, they've done an excellent job,
No, I agree,
In my
it looks
opinion.
very nice.
in my opinion. I mean, they've done a great job.
I don't know if anybody's been out by there in the last couple of weeks.
They were up there working on
Yeah,
it.
they've got quite a bit up.
This last weekend, when you did a control burn out west of town, they were up there working on it too, so. They are trying.
Are there any other questions in regards to the budget? Thank you. What action do we take on a budget workshop?
You said there's no action.
Okay.
We'll approve it next meeting,
Okay.
do the resolution.
Thank you guys for preparing that very nicely put together. All right, item 28, new business. Any new business that cannot be foreseen prior to posting?
I got a call into Rainbow for the fireworks because of the tariffs and all that. What they did, they put a freeze on it and they discussed and they turned back all the orders that had the tariffs on it. So they have their inventory and that we can get a hold of at the same price that we paid for last year. So they are in the process of putting together, they're going through and seeing what they have in inventory that we ordered last year. And they're supposed to be getting back with us this next week to let us know kind of where we're at. And then we'll go, once we get that dollar figure, then we'll go to Firecracker Joe's, because that's where we get the ground show stuff from. So, we may have a pretty small ground show, I don't really know, and don't really know what else to tell you guys other than they're checking on it, and they're supposed to be getting back with us this next week.
So on the rainbow stuff, I'm gonna assume we need to act quickly.
Yes,
on
that's what, I talked to John about it because of the tariffs and everything else, and he said that, he was told that they, you know, cause we called and they said they had a freeze on it. And I was talking to John, he said, I was told that they had opened it back up until the 15th. So I had Jeremy call them today, and that's what they told him, that they turned back all the orders that had tariffs on them, but they had the stuff that was in the inventory that they could get us at the same price as last year. So they're going through to see what all we had ordered last year, to see how much of that they could fill. So we'll just have to wait and see where we're at.
So are you guys good with the possibility of a special meeting whenever he brings that back and says, hey, because I'm gonna assume it needs to be quickly.
That's something, we need to act on it pretty fast, even with Firecracker Joe's, because, the tariffs thing is gonna be, it's gonna be pretty bad. If we could get a hold of in-stock stuff right now, it may not be as big of a show as what we had last year, but if we could get a hold of it and pay the same monies, we need to do it. That's my opinion.
I agree.
So if, as soon as you get that information,
Yes.
if you'll let Alyssa know, and we'll see if we can throw together a special meeting. We have to have 48-hour notice to have a special, but I think
Well, as soon as
we'll
I-
have to act quickly.
Yep, as soon as I hear word, I'll pass it on, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Any other new business? All right, 29, reports from officers and board members. Anything else? All right, hearing none, item 30, adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion has been made and seconded, all in favor, Terry? Yes.
Yeah.
Susan, yes, Sean votes yes. All right, we will move straight into the, regular meeting of the Glencoe Public Works Authority held at 8/11 on April 14th at Glencoe Meeting Hall. Roll call, Terry.
Here.
Skip.
Here.
Susan. Here. Sean is here. Consent agenda, approval of minutes from the regular meeting held March 10th, 2025, and approval of the Public Works Authority purchase orders. Any questions over any of that stuff? And hearing nothing, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Motion has been made and seconded, all in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Shawna votes yes. 4 is new point, 5, public appearances, petitions, demonstrations, communications, or personal appearances. Anything for public works that's not on the agenda? All right, hearing none. Item 6, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning approving water superintendent Shane McLean to cash up to 80 hours of his comp time and setting a date for payment. Shane, why are you working so much?
All things turned out, I guess.
He's only cashing out 80 of the several hundred that he has.
346.
Yeah, because we're not. And we just went ahead and had payroll, Lisa versus CDW, she just went ahead and made the checks date for today, but, it's up to you guys, if you want to produce the payment. It's already decided and ready to go.
I will make a motion that we approve Shane McLean cashing 80 hours of comp time, setting the payment date as today.
Second that.
Motion has been made and seconded, all in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. Sean votes yes. Consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning approving the purchase of prescription safety glasses for water superintendent Shane McLean, not to exceed $300.
And
Just let you cash out $80.
I know, but and I understand if this isn't something we can do, but I've replaced my lens, broke one of my lenses, and then I replaced another set, and then during the wind, it finally broke my glasses all the way, but, I have one set left, and, I just thought I would just ask. I have already asked OMAG, because there was some PPE things that they provide, that's not one of them. So I tried to ask them to see if I could get some safety glasses, like real ones.
I don't know if you guys know, but town doesn't offer vision or dental, so this is something that we would have to, purchase the glasses, but then if he needs them like adjusted or repaired or anything, that would be on him to do because we don't have an insurance company to do it. Who do you have as insurance? Shane?
I don't,
You don't? Okay,
my
well,
wife took that with her.
I mean, that's one of the hard ones. I mean, in reality,
Yeah.
he needs safety glasses for
Yeah.
what he does
and if he
to
owes you
prevent a
something,
women's comp
shouldn't even cost the $300. From what I could find, you can get them for like $40 or $50. But I put it up to, 300 just in case shipping and handling, whatever.
Yeah, the first ones I looked was $300, and then as I started looking, you can't, like
You
she
can't buy
said,
them
you can
cheaper,
buy them.
yeah.
And I think they're the exact same glasses as the expensive.
As someone who has worked in the eye care industry for 11 years, sometimes you get what you pay for whenever you buy a pair of $40 glasses off of the internet.
I get one of those in.
There's yours are decorative.
Do you have an opinion, anybody, discussion?
I would use the glasses.
Okay, I will make a motion approving, the purchase of prescription safety glasses for Water Superintendent Shane McLean, not to exceed $300.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded, all in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. Shawna votes yes. A, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning an update regarding the Wellington Sewer Project.
Okay, well, so we met back with Pat and Steven with Ghost and Associates back in like November, and we had a plan. We were going to add the lift station repair to the Wellington Sewer Project so that it benefited the whole town and increased our chances of getting this grant. And when we met our LMI score, our income survey, we were at like a 51% or something like that, 63 maybe. But we were over the 51% threshold, which you have to have. So, she said we touched base right around the time we were ready to put the application in for this year's grant. And, I shot her an email at the beginning of February, and she let me know that our LMI score was 44.4, which meant that we could not apply at that point. That was February 2nd. So I asked her what we needed to do, and she said, well, you need to get a new LMI survey done, and whenever you get that score, that's good for 5 years. Well, we have been rushing around trying to get these LMI surveys in, and supposedly we missed the window for the CDBG grant, so I'm not sure exactly how. When we had met, or well, when Shelley had met with Clarissa, she was under the impression that while we were getting these surveys, co-ed was putting the rest of the documents together for the application. And then the plan was to meet together in 30 days, and 30 days was April 4th. And by then they had said that we'd already missed the opportunity. So we're still not really sure where things went south, kind of upsetting. But that's where we're at with the CDBG grant. We can either wait till next year, or we can start looking into different possibilities, like a loan or different grant opportunities that we may not know about. I'm not really sure. I'd hate to wait another year, really would.
Yeah. You know, I'm all for looking at different grant opportunities. I mean, that's always a win if we can find any type of free money out there.
Yeah, and what Shelley's gonna go over the public works, budget here in a bit, and it actually has it budgeted in a couple of different loan payments that we could afford, just with where we're at right now. So there are options. I just don't know what you guys want us to do. Do you want us to look into those options, or just wait till next year? Because we will finish the LMI survey. We have 132 out of our 150 surveys, but once we get those, that score is good for 5 years. So that will not be a hiccup next year.
Assuming we're.
Assuming that we're actually the score we need to be, yes.
When it comes down, it's good.
And I definitely think we look into options. I think waiting another year would not be great.
I would really hate to, but, up to you guys, what you think we should do, anything on it to.
Well, I think based on the way that's written, there's really not much action we can take.
Yeah, just.
With it just taken up.
Yeah. So, I'll dig around and bring something back next month anyhow.
Anybody else have anything on that? 9, consideration, discussion, and possible action concerning approving up to 3% increase in water and sewer rates under the sustainability plan to take effect for fiscal year 26.
We had approved that sustainability plan either last year or the year before, I can't even remember now,
Last year.
but I think last year. Lone Chimney is discussing raising our rates because Stillwater has raised their rates. So I think personally, a 3% increase is the only increase that's gonna keep us afloat with the cost of everything. I broke down, like I did last year, I broke down the average bill based off my household of 4 at 5,000 gallons. For a 3% increase, it's only a difference of $1.95 a month. So it's a little increase, but it does make a difference overall for the year.
I think the thing with it, we have to stay afloat. There's really no option.
And we have fallen behind ultimately because we didn't have the sustainability plan in place all these years and we weren't doing regular increases. We are now behind and it's gonna take us a while to catch back up without just doing this huge increase that blindsides a lot of the residents. And I wouldn't wanna do that anyways, but I think we just need to keep it a steady increase.
We're looking at somewhere around 18% for our, to even make us break even from what the increase is going to be.
So we're still behind that part?
Yeah, well, Stillwater's already implemented it, it's 13%, around 13%, and then we need to add at least a 5% onto it, just to make it work. And 3% a year, I think, ought to be automatic, without anybody saying anything. If the board was to ever approve that, 3% ought to be automatic. And if we would've been like that 10 years ago, our 3% would've caught ourselves up at 18% when it hurt so bad. And nobody would ever even known it, that dollar, whatever she said, nobody would know that. That 18%, they're gonna know it.
Yeah.
So I will make a motion to approve the 3% increase in water and sewer rates under the sustainability plan to take effect for the fiscal year 26.
That's second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, Terry?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. Sean votes yes. Item 10, budget workshop for the fiscal year 2026 Public Works Report.
So you should have 2 more color sheets for Public Works. Public Works is not just as much as general fund. You can see that. Just have a lot of unexpected costs that eventually take a toll on the budget. There's been years that we've had to supplement. We didn't cash some CDs in last year, but we also paid off. We had 3 loans. And so we're actually loan free at this point. We paid our last payment to Oklahoma Water Resource Board in March. So that $180,000 30 years ago, whatever it was, is finally paid off. So it is good that we're debt free, but with the Wellington project in on, one thing we can do with Oklahoma Water Resource Board is we can have them do evaluation and they'll tell us how much we'd have to increase our sewer to be able to pay that, So that $180,000 we got from them, we paid about $10,000 a year. And so we were able to pay that back. What is a $650,000 loan payment going to cost you? I have no idea.
Yeah.
What term did they give us? How long?
They gave us, I have that handy. It was a 40-year term and a 3% interest rate for $700,000, and the monthly payment was $2,500. But I imagine interest rates are not the same right now, so that
fixed interest rate for the 4 years?
We would need them to come back out.
Yes, for sure.
Right, yeah.
So when was that?
A little over a year and a half ago.
Oh, that's what that,
That was when, USDA came out, or maybe a.
Oh, that was rural development.
Yeah.
So rural development kind of fell through because they say that Public Works needs to have its own savings account, needs to have its own FIN. And so in the process of trying to go through that, I'm just not sure if that is going to benefit us. We'd probably have to have a separate QuickBooks to maybe, Public Works over into, run it through that. You probably noticed in your general fund purchase orders that Intuit cost us almost $1,900. And, you know, that was like $100 when I first started working here. Over the years, it just keeps getting higher.
It was only 1,500 last year, that's what's crazy.
So it just keeps going up, but, there is a possible option to have, the payroll company do our payroll through their QuickBooks, and we wouldn't have to pay that, but I just don't know enough about what is the good side of that and what is the bad side of it. So,
well, as far as the loan, they'll come back out, re-estimate.
Sure. I'm not necessarily would I have rural development come back out, but now that we've paid our loan off with the Oklahoma Water Resource Board,
Right,
I don't
right.
think that's the route we should go.
Good.
If you all are interested in that, obviously we'll put the line item on the agenda, we can try to get them out as soon as possible.
Sure, the information, listen to it, at least to see the options.
Yeah.
And that was an option.
There's no guarantee that we would have got the CDBG grant, because Pat, she says because it's not like a whole town project that's gonna benefit everybody in the town, that the Department of Commerce would see that and think that that is just on us. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to extend a section of the town sewer
Right.
that should have had sewer years ago.
Right.
And so it's not like we're trying to replace the lift station or build another set of lagoons or anything.
Right.
Which would benefit everybody in
Right.
town.
Right.
Yeah. And so she has said that to me the last 3 years, that she does not believe the Department of Commerce would approve that grant. But then when Shane was telling us that the lift station needed some work, the lift station does benefit everybody.
Right.
And so, we possibly need to still look at fixing
Some
things with the lift station
Right.
as soon as possible. And there's a possibility we could get some RLF money, which we got when we bought that. So I'm very disappointed that we're having to do any work to that lift station after spending $97,000. And what's it been, 2 years?
it's probably 5 years old,
5
maybe.
years?
Maybe.
That's.
It just paid it off too, like, we made the payment for the final payment, and then a couple months later.
So
started-
that company was not a very, very good company, but. Okay, your second page is you probably already looked at it, your expenditures. It's been a few years, we've made some profit, probably the years that we didn't have any major sewer problems or water problems. We're coming down on our, tower, so we have that agreement with Pittsburgh. I can't remember what year we're on, but we're coming down to the end of that. So we're gonna have to look at doing something with the water tower, whether Pittsburgh will let us, they will refurbish it again and let us pay them back, you know, for 15 years or whatever, or possibly just looking at getting a new, water tower. That's just a future project that's going to come about. And it could take grant money if Pittsburgh won't offer us the same deal they did this last time. I agree with Shane that if we would put that 3% increase into effect, and maybe it should even be more than that, you can see that it doesn't raise a person's utility bill very much. I do get complaints all the time that, you know, Glencoe's got the highest water and the highest sewer.
We actually don't. I have looked, because I've heard that, we do not. We actually have very low rates compared to some of the surrounding cities.
And just keep in mind, when you annex property outside, you are losing money. because every one of his trailers, we would be collecting a minimum sewer and a minimum water if we were offering sewer, which I believe we offer sewer to him out there. So you are missing out on those. So just keep that in mind every time. The one that you just annexed a few months ago, you lose money when you do that. We should be annexing property instead of de-annexing. Just my opinion. I'm not for or against anybody, it's a
Right,
town.
right,
I work for the town, I'm for the town. Okay, so your second, your bottom line here is the proposed budget. First column is the prior year actual, second column is your current year budget, and your third column is your current year actual. And so I did a kind of an evaluation from where we are current year actual income to what we budgeted, and if, so that was 9 months, so if I take that 9 months income, divide it into 9 times 12, then we would be real close to what we budgeted, as long as all the income stays the same as it has the last 9 months. Your fourth column is what I'm estimating would come in without any increases. Your fifth column would be if you would have approved the 2%, and your sixth column is what you did approve, the 3%. So that 3% is only gonna bring in $6,273.11. That's not much money. That's why I'm thinking your percentage might need to be increased, especially if loan change increases the 18%, we're going to have to.
Well, it's coming 13% for sure.
13, we're gonna have to get that money back.
For
We can't afford to be losing that.
When are they implementing their increase? When are they implementing their increase?
I believe that it starts too, I don't think they could start it until the
Fiscal year.
yes,
All right, so your
if I
second,
understood it right.
your second page is your expenditures. You still got your prior year expenditures, current year budget, and your current year actual. You can look in that loan column, you know, we just had $200 there, so, and I didn't budget anything for loan because I don't know what you guys are gonna do. I have no idea what to anticipate. You know, if you wait till, next year and apply for a CDBG, there's still a chance we won't get the CDBG, and then if you still want to do the Wellington project, then you have to see what your options are. And if we just find out what the options are while we're waiting to apply for a CDBG grant, then you'll know which way we might need to go. The Wellington project will only benefit, I think, 10 to 12 people. That's $650,000 for 10 or 12 people is a lot of money. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but you just need to know all the facts. So if you look at that current year, if you look down there at that last column, you see a minus. That means we have spent almost $30,000 more than we brought in. So we're already in the negative, and if you look at your sixth column, with the percent of the increase, you're still negative.
So the way it's budgeted out now with the 3% increase, we're gonna be negative $7,010.
If the spending stays the same. Now, some of that spending was that sewer line that got replaced. The first one on Burkhart Street, and that first, you know, the ARPA money paid for that. So we weren't really out any of the money. And there was a little bit of extra money from ARPA that we did actually spend on the South Street. So but for the most part, we paid for that. And I have yet to put the numbers together what that costs, but I will do my best to get that to Alyssa so you all know what that costs us.
So, on the percentage increase, what happened if we go to 4 or 5% increase?
Well, Alyssa would have to put those numbers together to see what that,
A 3% was like $2 on, what did you say, 4,000 gallons?
5,000 gallon bill, yeah,
5,000.
$1.95.
Well, in that case, I think we probably should try and go up a little more than 3% if we increase it. I mean,
Well, and I'm gonna assume this budget-wise, doesn't account for the 13% increase that we're gonna get for Little Chimney,
It
correct?
doesn't, because I don't know how to budget for that.
So we're talking an additional 13%
I think when
onto
I
your
had,
water for resale, right?
yeah, I think when we were talking about the 18% increase, initially, that would have taken an $8,400 payment right up to $9,900, like right under 10 grand a month, and that was 18%, so, I don't know, what would that be?
Is that like 120,000 a year?
God, can you imagine? So 94, 92 a month, and then that times 12, 113 grand a year in water, just alone chimney. Almost 114.
I definitely think that's something we're gonna have to address, because we can't live in the red there.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't officially, approved any budget, this is just a workshop. There'll be more line items next month, and you'll have to make a decision, because Melissa's gonna have to put a public notice on the June meeting to officially approve that, so.
Well, if Long Chimney's raised their rate to us that much,
I don't know when that goes into effect.
He thought it was July 1.
Yeah, it is,
Oh, is
and
it
that's increases off of the Stillwater line is where that's coming from. Is Stillwater's increased it, we have a scale where they're showing 10-year projection, hopefully they don't get there. But
but if
what
we,
cost water costs.
are we gonna be lying if we increase it 18% for our local customers and then we don't get charged that much?
No, they've already increased this 13%, they just can't, start charging it to us until July.
Okay,
So it's already, 13's already locked in.
So
13, and then far as, just talking with some of the operators and things that are sitting there at the table, he was saying that he was gonna need to go 18 off of the 13, he was gonna need to go to 18 to make it even out. So I'm not saying we gotta go to 18, I'm just saying, for sure, we're paying 13% more no matter what we wanna do, July, and then we need to figure out what we need to do from there. And then it'd probably be good that if we continued our 3% so that we never have to fill another 13.
Yeah, so can
Unless we want to add it at that time.
with all that being said, can we add, just not putting a rate percent of increase on water and sewer rates for next month as well? Because I think you're right, we can't end up that much in the red. I don't wanna hit everybody with a 13% increase, but.
Yeah, I think we need to maybe relook at it with some increased percentage on the town side, and then what we're going to get on Long Chimney side. Maybe rework this and see if we can't make things a little better.
Yeah.
So you did make the other motion to approve that, but you wouldn't really officially pass that without ordinance, so.
Is there anything else on that? So yeah, if you'll just put the rate increase back on for next month, and we'll revisit it to maybe even out some budget.